Hi, my name is Carolyn Klauba and I'm the Stewardship Director for the Sauerland Conservancy. I want to talk to you about stewardship. So, ecological stewardship is the active participation in caring for the land to benefit our local ecosystem. And a steward shop is a workshop about stewardship, and generally steward shops take place at somebody's home and the work that they're doing at their home to benefit the local ecosystem. Please join us in learning about how to reduce your lawn, planting native plants, and saving the Sauerland. Today I'm here with David Voorhees. He is a member of the Sauerland Conservancy and part of our stewardship committee. We are doing a steward shop at his house, and we're going to be talking about reducing your lawn and different ways about going through this process. And we're doing it in a multiple series set. So today, David's going to tell us about what's going on here with his ash trees, and then we're going to go and head into his park that he created and learn about the stewardship work that he's doing on his property. So,
well, it's really great to have everybody here today, and as I probably had mentioned, we had mentioned, when I first moved here, the area that we're standing was pretty much totally overgrown. Lots of vines, lots of grape, lots of things that you just couldn't walk through without being really hacked to pieces. And slowly I reclaimed the property. It turned into mostly like grassed areas that would grow in. But what I had was many ash. This property, my 3 acres, probably has, I would venture to guess, about 150 ash trees. And I was really surprised years ago when I was told they were going to disappear. Mike Van Cleef, he came by to visit and kind of assess the property. And he said, "Oh yeah, see these ash? They're all going to die." I said, "No, there's no way." He said, "Oh, there's this ash borer thing that's here." And I said, "Okay, I've never seen it." Well, 2-3 years later, I've already had to take down, probably just in this little section right here, probably 10, and I have easily 50 more ash trees that they're dead. It's just a matter of getting the time to take them down. But what I did do is, with Phobos has their annual native plant sale, I've bought over the years, I've got gray birch, and I've got persimmon trees, and I got a peach tree. And so I'm slowly kind of filling in this area to kind of replace those dying ash trees, and then slowly but surely I will do more things to kind of add other native plants and shrubs and kind of re-sculpt this area.
I think something that's really great that you're doing is not just planting one species, but that you're planting multiple species. Because the issue here is that there was so much ash, and that once that died, there was nothing to take its place. But the fact that you're thinking ahead and thinking about biodiversity is really great, because that's the key, because there's always going to be something happening. So forward thinking and, creating that diversity is also important, because different trees are different host plants for different things. So for different birds, different caterpillars and stuff like that, they need that diversity. So I think that was a really good choice on your part. So what was your envision with this area? I know that you put this big fence up.
Well, it certainly evolved over time, but I would say that I really did hope to have a kind of a tranquil environment, and knowing the need to replace a lot of the fallen ash, I wanted to be able to put in native species that weren't going to be browsed and destroyed by the many deer that I have in this area. And I wanted little pockets of color. I wanted to have a little thing you'd walk by and there's a little thing that jumps out at you. Not a long, vast, big flower bed or anything like that, but little pockets of things and little groupings of different native species of shrubs and trees. And then the paths just evolved. Initially it was just as I cleared areas and got rid of multifloral rows and and a few blood transfusions later because that stuff is nasty. Autumn olive, I got rid of all of that stuff. And then the paths just kind of said, let's go that way, but not straight lines. I didn't want a New York City, grid. So I think it's worked. I wanted to have places to sit, and with my wife's suggestion, we got a little patio and some other little things that, and music's always been a very important part of my life. And we started with a tent platform, which we'll see in a moment, and that's now become a musical performance space. And, it's really been a wonderful, tranquil kind of a place to be.
Awesome. How did you keep the deer out?
Okay, well, about 5 years ago now, I began clearing this area, which was very overgrown. And one of the things I noticed immediately, I had probably 200 cedar trees. They'd either fallen, they were upright but dead. I said, okay, lopped those off, sorted those all out, and then I said, the perfect thing would be to use those to support a deer enclosure or exclosure. And so I said, okay, I laid out 100 feet wide, 150 foot long, with great effort and quite a bit of help. I got 55 of the uprights using the cedar, and then I bought the commercial kit. This I've got 4 gates on the property, or on the park. This is the widest one that we're standing in, and then the heavy gauge plastic mesh material, which is held up quite well. The one thing it doesn't do very good job of is keeping the rabbits out. And so I added an additional like 2.5 feet at the bottom and folded it under. That's worked pretty well in keeping the rabbits. The occasional one slips in, but the fencing has worked out so well. The cedar, and you'll see other applications around here. I just find it's a fun material. It doesn't rot, and I'm trying to make the most of what I had.
That's wonderful. I love that it adds to the beauty of this area where it's, you see these natural materials being used. I think it's just absolutely lovely. So why don't we go in and you give us a tour?
Great.
So as we're walking around, David, there's a lot of diversity in the species that you have, whether from the herbaceous level and your shrub layer, and going up into your canopy. So what did you do as you were, making your park? Did you choose things to leave? Did you plant things in? What was your process?
Well, one of the primary things is, if I saw something that I knew was good, like ferns, anytime I saw a fern, I'd say, okay, I'm going to let that do its thing. I'm going to let it spread out. I'm going to not let it get taken over by something else. So I'd focus on that, but I didn't do anything other than that. As you can see, and just where we're standing, sassafras. I had never seen that much sassafras on this property. And as soon as the fence went up, within a year, I've got a grove of sassafras here now. So that came on its own, and I said, good thing. I'm going to keep that and just plant other things around it. But those things kind of volunteered themselves, which was great. Ferns, anytime I see ferns, I really like to try and let those go. I've got a lot of other things. I've just realized I've got a lot of goldenrod. I know that'll be coming up later in the year. So the other thing that I like about things like this is it crowds out the stilt grass. It's probably the bane of my existence. This stuff every day I have to wind up pulling this up. And I must have a century of seed bank in this property. But things like the jewelweed, which is I said, jewelweed's great. That kind of crowds it out quite a bit. Anything that will will kind of help alleviate the still grass. I like that. Well, one of the great things that seems to happen, years ago I did plant this foxglove something beard tongue, foxglove beard tongue, but not this particular one. So this one is kind of just showed up, and this is what I find. Almost every day I go for a walk. I make my route through the park, through the paths, outside the park. I've got other areas, and every day there's something new that's there, and it's just so refreshing. So I'll walk on, oh there, this is the day for these things to show up. 2 days ago, the jewelweed, which I love because it helps to get rid of this stuff again. But jewelweed shows up, and then this seems to be the week for this flea bane. So every day there's something new that it's just, I just say it's refreshing. It's just great to have all this new things come out each day.
Oh, tell me a little bit about how long it took these red buds from the time you planted them until you got those beautiful magenta flowers.
These red buds I planted a grouping of 5 about 4 years ago. And this year, this past spring, was the first time I saw buds on 2 of the 5. Brilliant red, magenta kind of flowers. So about 4 years, but that's the idea. I plant a lot of these things. I know that eventually I'm going to see things, but you do have to have patience, as you say.
Yeah, the patience of plants, of that whole cycle that they go through. Of first they sleep, then they creep, and then they leap. That it's not about instantaneous results. That definitely in some situations you might have some herbaceous plants that you put in, and then you'll get butterflies that year that you might not have had before. But especially with our woody plants, being patient with them, and then knowing that in the future it's going to give you that result that you're looking for, and that putting the time in now is going to pay off in the future. It's all about that later on investment. Thank you so much, David, for taking us on a tour of your park. This area, you can tell how much love and time you really nurtured into this area as you walk through and see all the details with the plantings in different arrangements with their pops of color, and where you're going through and removing invasive species and planting natives. It's just really spectacular, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
All my pleasure. Always great to have people be able to see what I've done, and happy to do it.
Thank you.
She brought your guitar.
I'm really enjoying listening to you. I really am. It's lovely.
Thanks. Yeah, this has been really, really superb, just being able to come out here and birds in the background. Or